when you start a business, you are the chief everything officer. Overcoming the fear of failure and that it's okay to try something new. You know, how many people would say previously, I really enjoyed getting headshots done. Most people are like, no.
If you concentrate on giving, eventually, by default, you will receive as a consequence of doing so.
Yeah. So you can say all the great stuff online, but if you have 2 followers, a lot of people, when they think brand, they think logo.
Daniel said it, you want to take the island? Burn the boats. Yep. Welcome to another episode of the Transform Podcast. Extremely excited today. I have a repeat guest in my show.
Let's go.
Daniel's a friend now and super excited for the value we're going to be dropping here today. As always, if you're looking for ways to transform your health, wealth, and relationships, you've come to the right place. Please subscribe. Daniel, what's up, my man?
Dude, it's good to see you again. Fantastic. So honored to be on for a second time. It's awesome.
You always drop immense amount of value, so I'm always eager to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, man.
Tell me about some of the stuff that changed from the last time we spoke.
Man, how long ago? Was that like a year and a half ago or something?
Most likely, yeah.
That's crazy.
Episode 2 or 3. You were early, man.
Okay, yeah. It was groundwork there. The business has just continued to grow and to expand. We've done quite a bit of work in other states as well. We've had clients flying in from other states. We've had clients that have flown me out to them, like to do headshots for executive teams or shoot some like interview style marketing videos for people as well. So that's all been going really, really well. I am having the opportunity now to teach a workshop this summer. The workshop itself is focusing on other photographers, teaching them business kind of stuff to help their business really grow and do well. And then kind of related to that, I am working on publishing my first book. Super excited about that.
Amazing.
So the book, originally, when I started writing the book, it was intended to be just for other photographers. And then as I was writing it, I was realizing these principles are much more broad and applicable to a lot more people. So really, the book is going to be focused on anybody with a creative business. But I'm sure anybody could pick up the book and just get a lot of value out of it.
That's incredible. What could happen in just a year and a half?
Right? That's crazy.
Beautiful. Now that we've intrigued you all, why don't you tell the audience who's Daniel again, really quick? What is top tier headshot? What is some of the stuff you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So Daniel Wakefield, I'm the founder of Top Tier Headshots. I am a headshot photographer and expression coach. And so I like to tell people that what I do is not like school picture day. It's teaching people about how to look confident and approachable and genuine in front of the camera, coaching those things out of them and really helping them not to just, hey, here's a picture of your face, but instead of that, to really help them with building their online image, taking it to the next level, and so that's really what I specialize in. So that's kind of the main thing that I do, and then starting to branch out into coaching other people, mostly photographers right now, but coaching other people on things related to building a business.
Very cool, man. Very cool. By the way, check them out. I will go ahead and post the website right here. Daniel, you've got so many reviews on there. It's unbelievable. He's an incredible professional. If you need testimonials, just go to his LinkedIn page. You won't be disappointed. I'm one of his testimonials also, by the way.
Amazing.
Awesome, man. So, okay, you gave me a lot of meat, a lot of the cool stuff you're doing. I think it all starts from the personal branding aspect, the starting point. Why don't you talk to me about the importance of personal branding? What are you doing in that area? How do you build a better brand? So on and so on.
So that's always the challenge when somebody is starting out building a business, is how do you get from being maybe completely unknown, aside from like your friends and family that know that you're starting a business, how do you take it from that point to the point where you become a known and trusted entity in the business community, in your local area and beyond? Everybody wants to do that, But I think some people either don't know the steps they need to take to do that, or are just they're not willing to put in the work and consistency to make that happen. Places like, LinkedIn, for example. LinkedIn is a fantastic place for building a personal brand. And so really, I guess if we kind of bring it all the way back and just ask the question, what is a personal brand?
What is it?
Or what is a brand, period, right? Because a lot of people, when they think brand, they think logo. This is the McDonald's brand is their logo, or whatever. But brand is so much more all-encompassing than that. And brand is really I like to think of it like this. Brand is what people say about you or your business when you're not in the room.
Yeah.
Right? It's their uninhibited reaction and their thoughts and feelings related to your business or you as a person. And so that's kind of a good starting place, is thinking about, okay, we can't necessarily, you can obviously make the logo and, do all of those things. But brand isn't just something that you build, it's also what other people are saying about
Absolutely,
you,
yeah.
right? So we have to be able to think through, okay, we can't fully control that, but we can do things that influence people's perceptions of ourselves and our businesses, and can get things going in the right direction, right? And so really everything that you do in a business really feeds into that brand, from your client experience, so important for building a brand. And then obviously all the visual things, the logos and the things that you put out, your headshot, right? And the way that you present yourself visually online, the way that you interact with people, all of those things, feeding into what people are saying about you, even when you're not, especially when you're not there, really. So that's an important kind of foundation to think about brand. When we start to talk about a personal brand, we're going, for somebody like me, a personal brand and a business brand are almost inseparable, because I'm just one guy right now in the business. And so they're like inextricably linked together. But even for, let's say someone such as yourself, someone that, you are not, you're not self-employed, you're working for Synovus, but you've also built a really powerful, I believe, personal brand on places like LinkedIn. And so that's, I think, something that's really important to think about, is that you're not just making a name for the business, but you're making a name for yourself as somebody within that business. And not only does that benefit you personally, and your networking and your
like the community
community that you've built, exactly. But it's also going to then benefit Synovus, because it's people, when they think, really the goal is you want people, when they think about that sort of banking, to think about you, right, and to come to you. You become the trusted resource. You become the industry expert in that specific space. And that's really the goal of a personal brand, is building a reputation for yourself, whether you're a solopreneur or whether you're working for an organization, building a reputation for yourself where you become the industry thought leader in your space. People begin to view you in that way. And then if they have questions related to that industry or to that space, you're going to be the first one that comes to mind, because of the work that you've done building that out. So some different ways, I think, that people can think about building this sort of strong personal brand is, number one, you need to have people that you're actually connected with, right?
True.
So you can say all the great stuff online, but if you have 2 followers, it's not really going to do very much. So building out an audience of people. These might be clients that you've worked with in the past. These might be friends and family members that are on a space like LinkedIn and that you can connect with. They might be past colleagues or present colleagues. And then beyond that, using different things to begin to build out that network and to build that audience where you've got more and more people that are, in a sense, tuned in to what you're saying, to watching what you're doing and what you're saying and things like that. Really, and kind of the whole goal is you want people to, over time, to get to know you more, to like you more, and then to trust you more, right? Know, like, and trust. That's so important when building a business, building a brand, things like that. So you're building out that audience, you're interacting with that audience. Secondly, you're not just like, build out the audience and then just like, you don't say anything. It's just crickets on your pro. You haven't posted in 6 months, or you haven't interacted with anybody. And so I always take time every day to just scroll through that, LinkedIn feed a little bit and react to people's posts, leave a comment where it's appropriate, maybe send a few DMs to people if there's a good connection there. I'm trying really hard not to do anything that's like really spammy or super salesy.
Right.
My goal is I want to add value. I know that's something that you talk about a lot as well. So just trying to, in whatever I'm doing in that space, to add value.
This is something interesting. I want to stop you there because it's something that I firmly believe on. Do you believe that you could create a relationship at a long distance, meaning using LinkedIn, using social media?
Absolutely,
is that something that could happen?
Absolutely, yes. And I've seen it happen where people have been connected with me maybe for 6 months or something, and never met them in person. And then maybe 6 months later, they reach out and they're like, I just have to work with you. I love your work. I've seen other people that I know using you, and we've got to make this happen.
Yeah.
And when they come into my studio, they're just so excited to be here, and we've built something of a relationship, even though we had never met before.
Yeah, that was me, by the way.
That's a good example.
And that's why I brought it up, because you were talking about interacting online, leaving a comment when it's appropriate, just reaching out, liking, commenting. I think that's a great way to build relationships, because as a matter of fact, I read a book by Grant Cardone, and he says there's no difference between having a good friend or a close family member or somebody that's touching you on social media every so often. Your mind receives the information as, this is a trustworthy person that I know.
Right.
Hence, you're more inclined to trust that person and do business with them.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's something that I think is super important as well, is the people who become my clients, like we stay in touch. And I try to show up to support them on LinkedIn whenever I can, so that they know, like, this to me isn't just a transactional relationship. Like, you come here, you pay me money, I give you headshots, and that's the end of our relationship. I want to show up to support them in their professional endeavors, and to give them shout outs when I can, and to do whatever I can to add value, so that it's not just like a transactional relationship, it's a meaningful relationship. In fact, the thing that got me thinking about that recently was a quote from Adam Grant, where he talked about the difference between a transactional relationship on the one hand and a meaningful relationship on the other. And it just really got me thinking more about that, and to make sure that when I have clients, that it's not just a exchange money for services and then we never have anything to do with each other again, but that I'm actually showing up to support my clients, and that's the kind of relationship that I want to have with them when I can.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely, because otherwise the value exchange is just money.
Yeah.
Instead of, if you deal in relationships, most likely these folks will not only refer you future business, advocate for you, and do so many other things that if you would have taken the money and just, here's your headshot, bye.
Right, exactly. But then I think that also one of the things I found, just kind of, I know this is a bit of a rabbit trail, but I like it, so keep going
Let's go back to it.
So the in my profession, I think that the work that I put into to really build that relationship and to foster that and to build rapport and do all of those things actually leads to a better product. It leads to a better headshot.
Yeah.
Because then when they come in and we've gotten to know each other and we've gotten, they trust me more, so that when they get in front of my camera, even though they still might be nervous, they trust that I'm the expert and I can do this process, and they also have gotten to know me and to like me and things like that. And so
you're more
it just
of an niece.
Yeah, and so it just all goes towards that better finished product and that better experience, that better client experience, to where it's not just they're getting a good finished product, but the whole experience is something that they just feel like, wow, this was actually amazing.
Unique, yeah.
And how many people would say previously, I really enjoyed getting headshots done. Most people are like, no, it's like pulling teeth, right?
Yeah,
and going to the dentist. Sorry, dentist. But when I have people that leave here who are like, wow, that was actually fun.
Yeah.
And then then the finished product reflects that. It's just like, wow, that's so rewarding to hear that.
Very cool, man. So awesome. You were giving me actionable information on how to build a better personal brand. So you said first, connect,
build that audience.
You need an audience.
Yeah.
You said stay consistent, touch them, invest in the relationship. Mm-hmm. What comes next?
Yep. So the next thing I like to think about is, if I kind of have my own little 3 points that all start with grow. The first one is grow your audience.
Okay.
Right. So that's building out that network and getting more people into your network. Grow your relationships. So we talked about that a little bit. And sometimes that might be, if I connect with somebody, we're connected for a little while, maybe we're always commenting on each other's posts and we're just adding a lot of value to each other. At some point, I just might be like, shoot them a DM and just be like, can we grab a coffee sometime? I'd love to learn more about who you are, what you're doing, how I can help.
Yeah.
And then the goal of the coffee meeting is, I am not trying to sell that person. The goal is literally, how can I add value to them? How can I show up for them? I like what they're doing. I like what they're posting about. I support what they're doing. And then, so how can I be an asset for them? And I'm not trying, they're probably going to ask me about what I do and explain that. I'm happy to talk about that. But the goal is not, all right, I want you to sign right here and get booked for a session. That's not the goal. The goal is to show up and add value. So that, I think, is kind of taking that, building the relationships to the next level. But then the third thing is grow your voice. So that's about posting on a platform like LinkedIn. And so,
tell me more.
Yeah, I always want to think about, when I'm posting, what can I post that's going to add more value to my network? And that can look, it can look different. And I've got kind of different kind of broad categories of things that I post about when I'm posting on LinkedIn. But the number one thing I try to avoid is making my posts just sales pitches.
Right, yeah.
Because nobody wants to go on LinkedIn and just scroll the feed and read sales pitch after sales pitch.
One word.
So number one, nobody's going to want to follow you, right? Number two, the people who are following you are not going to engage typically on, unless you're adding so much value and then every once in a while you throw a post that's kind of a bit of a call to action. I think the people that have really engaged with you will show up to support that, but it's not the only thing that you're posting.
Right.
And it's not even most of what you're posting, right? So I like to think of a couple of broad categories of things to post about. One is thinking about something that's either educational or entertaining. Think about why you might follow somebody or subscribe to somebody's YouTube channel. Right? What are maybe some of the main,
Beast or whatever?
Yeah. What are the main reasons you subscribe to somebody? Because it's informative or it's entertaining, right? And even better if it's both of those things put together, right? So think about that in relation to LinkedIn and what you're posting on LinkedIn. Are you posting something that will add value in terms of you're educating people on entrepreneurship, networking, personal brand building, maybe something specific to your industry? If there are things that people need to know related to banking and lending and things like that, what sort of things can you post that will give people actual value and make people want to follow you?
Those are incredible, like powerful skills to provide value on. So
absolutely, because especially in this day and age where so much business is being done online, people need to be building personal brands, and a lot of people aren't. Like, you look at the statistics with LinkedIn. LinkedIn just hit 1 billion users last year, I think, and only 3 million people on LinkedIn are creating content consistently.
3%.
Isn't it less than 3%?
Yeah, about 3%.
Something like that. So it's like, wow, there's so much space for people to just get on there and to start posting and adding value to build that strong personal brand. Really the goal is, what are you posting that's going to be adding value? What are you posting that's going to help people to know, like, and trust you more, to see you as an authority in your industry, and the getting to know you part? I mean, I know some people are like, oh, it's, LinkedIn's not Facebook, don't post anything about your family. And I'm like, well, business people are people.
Yes.
We're people.
Yes.
And so, I mean, I don't treat Facebook and LinkedIn the same. And a lot of times when I post stuff related to my family, I often have like a business tie-in or a lesson that I've learned or something that I've found to be helpful, maybe even talking about like work-life balance or things like that. But I want my audience to see that I'm a husband, I'm a dad. That's a big part of my why. Why I do what I do is my family, and that motivates me. It inspires me, and I hope it does the same for other people.
It's part of who you are.
Yeah. No, exactly.
The real Daniel. The business owner. The person running this studio.
They all like intersect with each other. It's not like it's two separate personas. So thinking about that, I do think where you can, I think it's important to, because you can post about just like what's happening day to day in your professional life. And as your audience grows, as you work with more people, as you get more followers, people, they show up for you and they care about what you're up to. And so sometimes I might have a super busy day and it's just like, here's a behind the scenes selfie of me, on location somewhere, having a great time. Right? But sometimes it's more of a thought-provoking, here's what I'm thinking about entrepreneurship-wise, and this is what I'm learning, and this is starting a conversation, how have you overcome obstacles like this in your experience, and then opening up in the comments for people to join and share their thoughts and how they've grown in different ways. So just thinking through those things, and then having a call to action sometimes, but it not being like super salesy. And I think that's people don't want to feel like they're just reading a billboard when they look at your posts.
I agree. Where would you say the perfect balance would lie? Let's say you're putting out 10 posts a week or whatever. Maybe that's too much. Let's say 5.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What is the ideal ratio, in your opinion, for that billboard, like call to action type of post?
I've only done it once. I've been doing it for 3 years though, and it's been going really well. I prefer to not do it more than once a week, and sometimes less than that.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes I post things that are just. I would rather post more and add more value and err on the side of adding more value than to be like in people's faces too much, saying you got to work with me, you got to work with me. And sometimes it's just I post my work, a headshot, and when I do that, it's not like hey, here's 5 reasons why you need to do headshots with me. It's let me tag this person and let me give them a shout out for how awesome they are, what they're up to, what they're doing.
We do a call to action for you sometimes.
Right.
I've done
yeah.
it. I've done it.
And just kind of let the work speak for itself,
Absolutely.
or let other people be the ones to be like, you got to go and work with Daniel. I think that's much more powerful.
Yes.
If you've done the work with building out excellent client experience and you're adding value by building your personal brand online, people begin to see you as somebody that, you're not just in it for yourself, but you care about the success of others in the business community, which I really do. Like, I love supporting other people. I know you're the same way. So when people see that, and then they see the quality of your work and how you show up for your clients, I think that in itself is a call to action without even needing to say anything. And so that I would rather err on the side of, let me just shout out my clients and do that, rather than like multiple times a week being in people's faces like, this is why you need to work with me.
Very interesting, by the way. That's a great perspective, because just like you said, you're letting your work speak on your behalf, and also your clients advocate for you.
Right.
That's a very interesting perspective.
And I'm not saying that you shouldn't have calls to action. I mean, especially like, for example, on your website is your sales pitch. When people are on your website, they're there because they're interested in working with you, and it's very appropriate. It's like calls to action, book now, or get pricing, or whatever it is that is a call to action, or maybe a softer call to action, like sign up to get on our newsletter and we'll give you this, or whatever it may be. But on LinkedIn, so again, this I think speaks to what LinkedIn is and how you should view LinkedIn. LinkedIn is like a giant networking event.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
So kind of the when I talk about, on LinkedIn, a goal is for people to know, like, and trust you more. Isn't that the same goal with like a networking event? You
100%.
You go, you meet people, you're getting to know them, you're developing relationships, you're meeting new people that are joining your network, you're adding value, you're having conversations. Most times when I go to a networking event, I'm not in people's faces like, here's my business card. You need to work with me.
Sign up.
Yeah, sign up right now. Like, here it is. And so I think that I view LinkedIn the same way.
Very interesting.
So yeah, the occasional call to action, but most of the time it's more about it's a networking event. So how do I view it in that way, right? Yeah. So that's,
Tell me about networking. I know you're great at it, so I want you to tell me, how can somebody become better at networking?
I still feel like I'm learning, honestly.
Tell me about it, man. I know.
I feel like some people just are so like naturally gifted at it. I'm not painfully shy, but I'm a little bit of an introvert, right? Yeah. And so for me, especially when I was first starting the business, for me, going to a networking event where I knew that I didn't know anybody and I didn't really understand what networking was. So I was like, do I need to go and sell to people at these events? Is it just handing my business card and hoping for the best? How do I do this? And there was definitely a lot of fear associated with that. And it was like me, just saying, I need to get out there and put myself out there and meet people and things like that. So I was, just going and just, gritting my teeth and just go and be as friendly as I can and meet people, and really began, as I did it more and more, realize that it's all about building business relationships. Yeah. And so that's going to include meeting new people, especially when you're new. Everybody's new, so meeting new people and getting to know them. Also going and talking to people that you know already, and deepening that relationship and getting to know them more. Just like on LinkedIn, sometimes you meet somebody at several events and you seem to enjoy conversation. Maybe there's some good strategic partnership potential there. Maybe you're in an adjacent industry and you've got the same sort of clients, and maybe suggest a coffee meetup or virtual or in person to talk about, how can we benefit one another professionally? How can we collaborate? How can we refer clients to each other? I want to learn more about what you do. Again, the goal is not to sell them on your service. The goal is to show up and be, how can I refer clients to you because I love what you're doing, and it seems like we're serving a lot of the same types of clients. What's a good way for me to introduce people to you? So that's kind of like taking it to the next level.
Great. So you would say that then to be effective at networking, you have to understand how to approach people with a plan and understand that you're trying to find people that have synergies with you so that you could provide some value that triggers reciprocity at the same time, right?
Yeah, I mean...
because not everybody will be a good fit for your business or referring you business. Not everybody will be a right fit for you.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and I think that's the point of, not doing that immediately, hey, great to meet you. Let's grab a coffee afterwards, and because then it's just, and I've unfortunately had some meetings with some people that the stop time for the meeting couldn't come soon enough, because when I got into the meeting, I realized that their entire goal was to sell me on their service, and I just. Number one, it's uncomfortable.
Yes.
So please don't do that. And number two, it made me realize I don't want to do that, and there's got to be a better way to network and to build relationships, and so it becomes more about giving.
Yeah,
right. Having a giver's mindset, and really keeping your eyes open for people that you do have good synergy with, right? And sometimes that's not necessarily immediately apparent. Sometimes you got to get to know somebody a little bit first. And so that kind of comes back to the consistency thing. If you show up to one networking event a quarter or something like that, and you're never engaging or posting on LinkedIn, people don't have a chance to get to know you, but then you're also not going to be able to get to know anybody else either. So it's about building those relationships. Again, same. Excuse me.
Yeah, same as online.
Same as on LinkedIn. Building relationships, adding value, introducing people to each other, things like that. And when I stopped thinking about networking as I have to go and sell people what I do, and started thinking about it more as how can I show up and add value to the people in my network? It does a couple of things. Number one, it takes the pressure off, because now I'm not like I have to sell somebody something, which is what makes us nervous, I think, a lot of times. But it also becomes more freeing and gives me the ability to I just get more excited when I'm introducing people.
The energy level is different.
The energy level is way different for me. So it becomes more enjoyable for me and rewarding to see, wow, I just introduced two people that I thought for sure they knew each other and they didn't, and I introduced them, and look at this synergy happening there. And doing that sort of thing again and again and again will build your business. It will.
Yeah.
Assuming that you have a good product or service that's quality and people can see that, and you're a great person, and obviously that's why you're introducing people anyways, hopefully. But assuming all of those things are in place, then if you kind of show up to network with this giving mindset, it's going to grow your business.
Yeah, you always say, I think I've said this probably 20 times already in every podcast episode. If you concentrate on giving, eventually, by default, you will receive as a consequence of doing so.
Yeah, people like to work with people
that are generous.
That are generous, people that they like, people that they trust.
Yeah.
And if people are seeing that, in you, I think it goes a long way to building that know, like, and trust factor there. So yeah, that's super important.
Beautiful. So now we have a strong personal brand. Now we've earned the trust of that community we serve. Tell me about the business. Tell me about the stuff. How do you bring it all together to create a successful business?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And by the way, we don't have 10 hours, right?
I'll do what I can. No, I'll do what I can. So kind of one of the results of building that strong personal brand is it starts to generate leads.
Yeah.
I think people find out what you're doing, they see who you're working with, they start to get interested and they reach out.
Yeah.
They're like, I want to inquire about working with you. I've seen so-and-so work with you and you did great work for them and they couldn't stop talking about you. How do I, work with you? So for me, and then it goes into like the sales process, right? And for me, for what works best for my business is typically getting on the phone with people. And for a couple of reasons, one of them being that I want to build rapport with people before they ever come into my studio.
Yeah.
And so I want to have a conversation with somebody and then so I'm able to build that rapport with that conversation right off the bat. But then also, I want to, the most common thing people want to know is what's your price? They want to know what it's going to cost to work with you. But part of my reason for getting on the phone is I don't know exactly what to offer you until I know exactly what you need and what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And sometimes people don't even know what they need, what they're looking for until they have that conversation and somebody asks the right questions. And so that's been a huge learning process for me. I do not have a sales background. I do have a teaching background, so I am, comfortable talking with people. And especially kind of, educating people, explaining concepts, things like that. But just I think the initial pressure of it's a sales call. And I was, kind of thought to myself, I don't know what to do. I've never done this before. But it really just comes back to the people skills and to the adding value to the listening, asking good questions, listening to people. What are their needs? How can you provide a solution to their problems? And like there are different categories of buyers, and there are people that are probably never going to work with me, and that's okay because I'm not targeting everybody.
Of course, yeah.
Right? So, I think as a business owner, recognizing, really dialing in on who is your audience, who is it that you're targeting with your business, and then all of your messaging, all of your sales calls are all directed towards that end. And if there are people that are just they're not a good fit, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's not that you don't like somebody, you don't want to work with them, but it's just not a good fit, and that's okay. That's fine. And so being okay with hearing no is important, and not to be devastated when somebody doesn't want to work with you. That's okay. Your next and best client might be right around the corner.
Absolutely.
Right? And doing that work of getting on a call and getting to know them a bit, asking them good questions, listening to them, for like what exactly they're looking for, and then connecting that with your service as this is the solution that we can bring to the table.
I'm in sales.
Us.
I do have a sales background.
Yeah.
So there's for all of you guys that are in sales out there, you know the difference between being an order taker, having a menu, and you pick from, I want this chicken nuggets, to being a source of advice, guidance, and education. Mm-hmm. That's what you bring to your clients. Yeah. That's why it's so impactful. And that's where you could quickly differentiate between the people that maybe they're not a right fit for you.
Right.
You're not wasting their time, right?
Right.
And at the same time, that's why you've been so successful in your business, because you're very centered on who are you going to serve.
Right.
And that's why you're able to provide so much value, because you're serving the people you want to serve.
Yeah. And so, being very specific, talking a specific language for a specific audience, very, very powerful. Instead of, if you're trying to reach everybody in your business, then you end up talking to nobody because it's so general that nobody really feels like it's a good fit for them.
Yeah.
But when you narrow that down to, I'm trying to reach this particular audience, and then when your messaging gets narrowed down like that as well, people feel like you're talking to them individually, and that's very powerful, I think, for sales.
Great business lesson. Like Rolex would not move to an area where there's like income restrictions, right? Because they know that their final target clientele would not be better served in that community. So excellent. Yeah.
So for me, that sales call, super important. Doesn't always work out. That's okay, because like sometimes it's they're logistically or pricing wise or something, there's just not a good fit, and that's okay. But it's enabled me to connect and to book and to work with so many amazing people that I think if I had just had my price on the website and sign up here, then some people would have been like, oh, the price is too high, I'm going to go look somewhere else. But once they get on the call, it is important to try to demonstrate that value on your website where you can. But I think even more so when you get somebody on the phone and there's that human-to-human interaction.
It changes the whole thing.
It changes things, right? And people can see, I'm not just trying to sell them something, I'm trying to be a solution to their problems. And this is what the need was, this is how I can help. And that's really the goal, is showing up to help and to serve people. Not, again, it goes back to the transactional versus meaningful relationships. It's not just about a transaction, it's about how can I help your career with what we're planning to do. So that's super important. And then for me, the next step is, once somebody books, is that whole client experience. What is it going to be from the moment they walk in the door to the moment I deliver their final images and beyond? How can I provide them with an experience that helps them feel heard, listened to, helps them feel taken care of, and helps them feel empowered? Helps them feel like the hero of their story. And I think every business, no matter what business that you are in, is well served by thinking about, how can I help my client show up as the hero of their story? That is a powerful question to think about, to ponder, to answer that question, and then to do business that way, where it's, again, not just transactional, but it's how can I actually empower them, my clients, and to help them feel all of those things, because that's really what client experience comes down to. When you strip away all of the the fluff and everything, how are you making people feel when they work with you? In every aspect, every point of contact between you and the client, maybe from the first sales call, maybe even before that, to the moment that they have their finished product or service or whatever it is, how are you showing up to help them show up better than they were before they worked with you?
And I think this is where most people drop the ball, by the way. Once they get the sale, everything goes south, right? That happens sometimes, so that's a very critical message to all the business community out there. Tell me, you've shared with me a lot of the stuff that you enjoy about running a business, so maybe give me 2 or 3 that are difficult, right? When you're running your own business and you're doing your own thing.
Well, I mean, I think that when you start a business, you are the chief everything officer, CEO, chief everything officer. And it kind of, a lot of people, if you're starting a business and you're able to provide that service or that product as a solopreneur, then it kind of makes sense at the beginning that you are able to do everything.
Right.
But if you start to get busy, and that's really the goal of business, is to get busier, to get more clients, to get things going, you're going to very quickly find that you're too busy to get everything done. And I think that for me, being able to identify areas in the business where they weren't really revenue generating activities. They were things that needed to get done, but they weren't things that were going to generate more revenue. I very quickly realized I need to start figuring out ways to outsource things, or to either to bring in help or to outsource in a way that doesn't take away from the quality,
Right.
but also helps me to focus on more of the big picture of the business, and also the things that do generate more revenue. And so giving up things is hard because, when you start a business, it's like your baby. It's like, I love this and I'm doing it, I'm building it for myself and it's fantastic. But also it's like, because you're so passionate about it, it's like, how do I take my hands off of things? But it's one of the things that is going to either hold you back or it's going to help you move forward. And just learning to be able to prioritize the most important tasks, the things that are actually going to drive new growth and revenue, and the things that, they need to get done, but ultimately they're not the things that are going to
Move the dial, right?
Move the dial, yeah. So that's one thing.
There's got to be another
No,
one.
I mean, so it's strange. People are probably going to, if they've known me for a while and they've seen me at networking events, they're probably not going to believe this, but I still get nervous going to networking events.
Listen, me too. Me too.
And there's still that introvert in me that's like, nervous and meeting new people and stuff like that. And it's something that I've learned. So I've started to make this rule for myself in my business, that if the only reason I don't want to do it is because I'm afraid or because it's hard, then I'm probably going to force myself to do it.
Yeah.
Because it's like every single time that I've stepped outside of my comfort zone in my business, that's the time when things happen. That's the time when growth happens.
All the growth is there, right?
And that's where, comfort zone is here, growth happens out here, right? And so early on in my business, I made a commitment to networking, that I was going to do it, even though it was uncomfortable, because I knew that I needed to get out and meet. And I didn't realize how impactful it was going to be long term, but I just knew that it was a way to get out and meet new people who were, potential clients, potential, referral partners, things like that. And so things like, networking and sales calls are still things that, I get nervous before I pick up the phone and call somebody. I get nervous, but I think I've gotten to the point where I don't sound nervous. And I think it's kind of like, it's almost like it's all in my head, because once I get on once I get on the call and like start talking about, what I do and how passionate I am about it, it just, all the nerves go away. Yeah. So it's like just overcoming this. I don't want to do it because I'm nervous. You know what? I just need to do it. Yeah.
And you don't get any better at it by not doing it.
Exactly. That's the thing.
So do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Oh man, that's incredible. Talk to me about, you mentioned when we started speaking that you have the workshop coming up and also your book launch.
Yeah.
Tell me about the workshop.
Yeah. So I guess just a quick little background. So I did not plan for this to happen, but about 2 years into my business, I started to have other photographers reach out to me, like wanting business coaching. And, they're really, really good at what they do, at the photography, at the artistic vision and all of those things, but just wanting to know, how can I, as a photographer, grow my business? And honestly, people just saying, like, can I pay you to hop on a call and pick your brain about business stuff?
Very interesting.
And I was like, sure. I wasn't planning for that, and but I was like, yeah, okay. And so, but then,
and let me stop you there for a second. I'm so sorry, because I know that's gonna get really, really interesting. So when they're reaching out to you and you say they want you to teach them about the business, are we talking about lead magnets, creating funnels,
whatever?
What specific? The whole thing.
The whole thing. Okay. Yeah, like
carry on.
Yeah. So it's and it was different. And so what happened was, it started to happen again and again and again, and then some of those clients became repeat clients because what we talked about the first time, they called me back and they were like, I'm getting more clients, I'm making more money. This is fantastic. So about halfway through, it was last year, about halfway through last year, and we had like half a dozen coaching calls with different people, like around the US.
Wow.
I started saying to my wife, should we start being more strategic here? Like, should we start thinking about this as like another branch of the business where it's actually becomes like photography business education? And kind of my background as a teacher, you know, I enjoy teaching. I love sharing with people. I love helping people have that aha moment where they get it. Like a light bulb goes on and they're like, oh, I get it now. And I love helping people get to that place. So it was just a very natural thing for me to want to do something like this.
Natural progression of the business also.
Yeah.
Been there, done that. Let me teach it to someone else.
So about halfway through last year, my wife and I sat down and we started just brainstorming some different ideas for how we could be more intentional with building out that as another side of the business. So one of the things we decided was that I would start writing a book about those kinds of topics and really write the book in terms of, or from the perspective of me telling the story of my business, like day one, how did I get from there to where we are today? And then pulling out all of the practical things that helped me to do that. So, and I've always enjoyed writing. I was doing creative writing stuff in high school, and
that's so cool.
And I enjoy writing LinkedIn posts and things like that. So it was just like, yeah, like let's just write a book and see where it happened, or you know where it goes. So I just recently finished the first draft of the book. We're starting to talk with a publisher about working with them to get it out there. So it's not like ready to launch right away, but we're still got to work through a bunch of like revisions and editing process and everything. But there's a path now, and there's a goal of when it's going to come out, and then related to that. So this is kind of a long story.
It's fine.
I'm trying to make it concise. Yeah.
Summarize it.
So I think I talked about him last time. So this best headshot photographer in the world, Peter Hurley.
Yes, you did speak to him. Yeah.
So I'm a part of his headshot crew. I'm actually one of the associates in his headshot crew. And he does these headshot intensive workshops all over the US and even in Europe. He's done them. And he usually does like 10 of them a year at least. I mean, he's doing it all the time. And so he's teaching people how to do these world-class headshots, and we decided that we're going to do one here in my studio this summer.
Wow!
So he's going to be here. It's a 3-day workshop, teaching people, their photographers flying in from around the U.S. for this. And I'm going to be here. We're going to be using my studio. I'm going to be helping him with that workshop. And I had this idea.
That's incredible, by the way.
I had this idea, and I called him up, and I said, we're like talking about dates for the workshop, and I said to him, listen, I've got this idea. It's a brand new idea. If you don't like it, you can shoot it down. It's okay. But just I wanted to at least see what you thought. So what if we added on a 4th day to the workshop, and the 4th day would be me teaching different modules about the business of photography, because all of these people are coming to him wanting to learn how to take these world-class headshots. That's why I did
technical stuff.
Yeah, all the technical stuff, the coaching people and stuff like that. And that's why I took it in the first place when I did it with him back in 2021. But I said the reason people are coming to you for this is because they either want to build a business around it, or they want to add it as a component to their photography business. They're not there just to do it as a hobby. It's a business reason. Yeah. So they come, they learn how to do these world-class headshots, but then there's these questions about how do I practically take this and make a business out of it. And so I said, why don't we add that 4th day, and I'll teach like 5 or 6 modules during the day about different, like basically teach through the chapters of my book that I'm writing, because the material's already there. And he said, I love it, let's do it. And I was
Full
just like
circle.
pinching myself, like, I can't believe this is happening. But kind of so it's happening in June here in my studio. It's actually, we're doing it as the first day of the workshop, day one, learning all the business stuff and then getting into the technical photography stuff. But I'm just super excited about it. There may be opportunity to travel with him and teach this around the U.S. And then the book coming out probably not until like early next year, I think. But we've got some exciting stuff planned for like launch party and stuff that I'm not going to say too much about, but we're really excited about it.
As long as I'm invited, I don't care.
No, absolutely. Are you kidding me?
So that's really cool. So the workshop's coming on June.
Yeah, June 17th.
The book early next year. Man, if I could say, what is next for you?
This kind of is what's next. Kind of my professional goal is I want to do headshots for someone that is like a household name nationwide.
Yeah.
Like everybody would know who that is. And I kind of did a little bit for people that are into baseball. I did headshots recently for Kim Ng, the recent GM of the Marlins. So that was really cool. She was an amazing person, awesome to work with. But part of it is just, I want to be able to show people what we can do, what we can accomplish with something that's not just a standard headshot, and how headshots can be so much more than just, oh, stand over here and let's take your picture, but can actually help you tell your story and build your brand and things like that. And if I can bring that to the smallest, most unknown business person or the biggest, CEO in the United States, I'm here for it.
Yeah, and it definitely can, by the way. It definitely can do that for you and your brand. My friend, what has been the biggest lesson you've learned so far in business?
Can I do two?
Yeah, let's do it.
The power of connections, like genuine, authentic connections with people through networking, through LinkedIn.
That's a great one.
I have connected with people like yourself and other people, similar people, who they have essentially become cheerleaders for my brand, and that's so impactful. And I hope to be able to do the same for them as well. And then also, I think the overcoming the fear of failure, and that it's okay to try something new and then it doesn't go well, because oftentimes that can point you in a better direction.
For sure.
And I think I talked about this in our first episode, but I tried to start a photography business before, Top Tier Headshots, and it failed spectacularly and it never went anywhere. And looking back on it, there were so many lessons that came out of that, this business would not be here today if it hadn't been for that first failed business.
That's amazing.
So,
as a matter of fact, I made a post. You could go back maybe 2 weeks or so that I spoke exactly about this point, that mostly out there, failure is seen as, oh, I fail, I have to start from zero.
Right.
But the truth is that you start from learning.
Right. Right, exactly.
Good job, man.
Yeah.
That's a great story. I don't think you shared that with me last time, and if you did, I don't remember.
Yeah, it's part of my book that I'm working on as well, and also just the when I first started this business, man, it started really slow.
Yeah.
It was a challenge, and I also had the kind of in our family, my wife got pregnant very early on in my business, and she got so sick with the pregnancy that she had to stop working.
Wow.
And then that was kind of our, bit of a buffer for me to get the business going. And then all of a sudden she couldn't work anymore. And it was like, I have to make this work. I've got to pull out all the stops. That's one of the things that led me to networking and overcoming that fear of putting myself out there, was that like, I just want to put food on the table for my family. I want to make this work, whatever it takes. And I'd seen the success of other people doing it, so I knew it was possible. And that plus the, you know, the fire under me of like, let's get this going, let's put food on the table. Just that's, I think, one of the couple of things that led to the success.
Yeah. Well, Daniel said it. You want to take the island, burn the boats.
Yep.
That's the choice. How do we find you, my man?
Yeah, absolutely. So toptierheadshots.com. If you want to see more of my headshot work, definitely go follow me on social media. Daniel Wakefield on LinkedIn. Top Tier Headshots on Instagram. I do have a Top Tier Headshots YouTube channel as well, especially if you're a photographer. I do have some like tutorials about lighting and other things that I'm putting on there, so definitely check that out.
Awesome. Check Daniel out. Thank you, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you, my brother. All right, cut.
Love
What
it.
do you think about that?
That's good, man.